downtime distractions. Welcome to this review of Ancient Frontier. So this game is released on Thursday, September 21st, 2017 at a price of $25 US, but it will have a 25% discount upon launch, putting it around $18 US. So what type of game is Ancient Frontier? Well, Ancient Frontier is a turn-based strategy with RPG elements that's set in the far future. So the game is heavily story-driven. It has two main campaigns, each 31 missions long. It is roughly 2 hours of voice acting per campaign, which is what the developer has advised. Now, in addition to the main campaign, it has a slight splattering of side missions if you so wish for some additional missions. This game is single player only. So the gameplay uses hexagonal tiles for movement and combat on a 2D map. But you can rotate the camera freely in a 3-dimensional environment if you so wish. There are several RPG elements within the game design. So we have 35 unique ship types. Individual ships gain experience and levels, and as they gain more levels, various stats increase. You can also buy more ships to add to your fleet and also purchase equipment. Each ship has 2 equipment slots, allowing you to increase their abilities and base stats even more. In addition to this, you have a skill tree system, allowing you to unlock and increase abilities and stats per ship type, and increase the equipment power also. So to purchase ships, equipment, and utilize your skill tree, you utilize 3 different resources. You also require these resources to deploy your ships, so resource management is required. The game does have 3 different difficulties, which do change the gameplay slightly. As the difficulty curve increases, micromanagement around fleet numbers, repair, and resources becomes increasingly difficult. So that's probably it in a nutshell, the gameplay component. So what inspired the design of this game, and what games are similar to Ancient Frontier? Well, for me, games like the early Final Fantasies, Master of Orion series, XCOM as well, games like that seem to be very similar in the combat. So the developer for this title is Fairweather Studios, a small team of 2 people who aim to bring out a high quality game every year. Previous game of theirs was Bladestar, which received mixed reviews on the Steam store. You can probably check that out if you so wish. Okay, so now I'll just do a quick pros and cons around the things that I've picked up within this title with my 13-14 hours plus gameplay that I've actually sunk into this already. And then I'll just summarize with my overall thoughts. So let's start with the pros. So the characters are starting to grow on me, and I want to know more about them and where their stories go. Another pro is the universe, the factions and the lore that we've been given in this title. While generic in concept, still interesting and delivered very well within the story. And they're saying that as well. Another pro is the story itself. Initially I was very unimpressed at the first few missions because I didn't think the story was going to go anywhere. But as time has passed, the story is really building as you progress into the missions. So you kind of drip fed the story, and now it's getting really good to the point where you want to know what happens after the next mission, and you want to find out. So you learn the story by discussions between various characters, which is an interesting way to do it as well. Now another pro here is the combat. It is challenging, tactical, and can be quite fun at times. Another pro is the customizable fleet and the RPG elements. I appreciate that, and I'm sure some people will as well, because you can change the stats quite a bit. Another pro is the additional unit types you get from other factions. Another pro is just the amount of content. It took me 11 hours to reach mission 13 of one campaign. And as I said before, 31 missions each campaign. So that's a serious amount of time. Admittedly, I wasn't rushing through it. I did some side quests as well. Okay, now on to the cons. Let's start with the script. Sometimes the script can be very cheesy. In the tutorial is a great example. Whilst I praise the story and the characters, some of their lines are very forced and fake. Okay, another con here is the tutorial itself. Very painful. In essence, it's a video you watch with no interaction you can do. It's just telling you how to play the game. I don't appreciate a tutorial like that at all. I think it could have been done very quickly in an actual, more interactive way. So another con would be the voice acting. For the most part, it's pretty good, but there's the odd character there that seems a bit hit and miss, unfortunately. Another con would be the menu system within the research and the ship system. It seems quite clunky. I found it to be quite, well, not intuitive at all, and it just seemed to be a little backwards in that menu system. So sorting through your ships and equipment can be quite frustrating, and the research as well. Another con will be the odd visual bug here and there. So when you do a critical damage of another ship, sometimes the camera zooms in for a closer up shot. Sometimes the textures can look quite bad. Sometimes a little bit of clipping here and there, but nothing massive. Just a little gripe there. Probably the biggest con I have is repetitive gameplay. So you're fighting the same ship AI and it doesn't seem to do anything different. It can seem a little bit laborious, that the gameplay can be repetitive on the bigger scale maps. Okay, so now the overall thoughts, my overall opinion, how I found this game. So now I've pointed out the obvious pros and cons there. I'm in a bit of a nitpicking sometimes, but the game definitely has a charm. It has a captivating story set in what is turning out to be a rich universe with different factions and characters. The combat is satisfactory, but slightly repetitive in nature. And that may stifle repeat playthroughs as well. Once you finish the campaign, I don't imagine you'd probably pick this game up again. So let's talk about the audio. The music tracks definitely suit the game. It doesn't stand out as anything amazing, but it definitely works. And the audio assets are probably the same. It works. Nothing astonishing within the audio side of here. So whilst I mentioned some of the scripts, some of the script lines I had seemed a little bit off every now and again, a little bit cheesy, and the odd voice acting seemed a little bit stale sometimes. For the most part, the main voice actors are pretty good. The voice acting really delivers the story well and keeps you wanting more, which is very good as well. I think that is probably the standout point for me as well, the story. It's very compelling and engaging. The storylines delivered, combined with that fun little gameplay with some simple RPG elements, is just an enjoyable combination of a game. Don't get me wrong, the game does have its flaws, but for a little indie developer, I think it's a satisfying little game. Now let's talk about the cost. So $25, is that a good price? That's a tough call. I'd definitely say it's on the steep end of an indie title of this quality. The game would be a no-brainer pick up. If it was around the $5, $10 mark, for anyone that likes sci-fi turn-based, I'd say snap it up. But for that $25, you're opening up the competition with other games of similar price, in a similar turn-based categories as well. And I wonder if that price may scare off some people unwilling to take a risk on a little indie title like this. But the amount of content you get is considerable. 62 missions. As I said, I did 13 missions on one side, and it was maybe let's say 20 missions all up from the side missions, and that's about 11 hours. So it's a solid amount of content. But I'd still argue the price should be lower. Also, the additional longevity of the game after you complete the two campaigns. I don't foresee many people wanting to play it again. I'd imagine you'd probably shelf this game. If it had a multiplayer or a co-op, perhaps you wouldn't. Perhaps there'd be more time sunk into this, but it doesn't. So all in all, positive. It's an appealing little indie game, with the most powerful parts being that story and the amount of campaign gameplay. But once again, the price is steep in my opinion, but that's really down to your circumstance around what you're willing to pay for a little indie title of this caliber. So I shall leave this review here. I hope it has helped you figure out to purchase or not. Subscribe for future content from me here, and leave some feedback below. Thumbs up if this helped you out. And until next time, this is Mish, and I'll see you later.